Y'all gotta understand this, that over the years, I've done thousands of shows and heard thousands of ideas, and I still am the person who has to have final approval on all of the ideas. And so when the producer comes into my office and she tells me that there's this 80-year-old doctor from Ethiopia who fixes fistulas, first of all, I didn't know what a fistula was, and how am I gonna tell that story in a way that's gonna connect to people? My initial reaction was no. And I said, no, don't want to talk about that. Oh, the fistula is a hole that's left in a woman's body and she's dripping urine. Oh yeah, let me try to humanize that. Let's make that palatable to 10 million viewers. Let's make that palatable to the woman who's just come from the soccer game and she's making dinner for her kids right now. Because I'm always thinking about who's watching and how they're watching, and how you can tell a story that's going to make them stop and pay attention. So I wasn't thinking I could do that. But the producer, to her credit, it was Jill Van Lokeren, who came to me and then came to me again and kept pushing this fistula. I go, finally she said, this is what everybody knows you want to get me, is to say, I believe in my soul. I believe in my soul that this is the thing that we should be doing. So I can't argue with a person's soul. You know, we all get so caught up in the stresses of our daily lives that it's hard sometimes to take time and think about what a day would be like for a woman struggling to survive and just get through each day in a third world country. But when you hear this next story, I hope you'll take a moment to count your own blessings, girls. This terrified 12-year-old girl is being forced into marriage, a common practice in the African country of Ethiopia. If she's like many girls in these small villages, she'll soon be pregnant, even though her small and underdeveloped body is not ready to give birth. Many of these girls, some as young as 13, struggle with labor for days without medical assistance and usually deliver a stillborn. But that is just the beginning of their nightmare, because the trauma of labor rips apart their insides, leaving these girls to drip a constant stream of urine that follows them wherever they go. They develop an internal hole called a fistula. And no matter how hard they try to stay clean, they smell of waste. Most become social outcasts and are abandoned by their husbands, families, and villages. Often believing that there is no cure, they're then left to live alone in despair for the rest of their lives. Please welcome Dr. Catherine Hamlin. She's a woman that we thought you needed to know about because she has spent nearly 50 years of her career helping these very young women in Africa be reintegrated into society, because they become outcasts, live alone, are shunned by their families because, you know, there's this foul odor, and nobody until you came along knew that there was a cure for it. So congratulations to you. God bless you and all your work. God bless you.
Thank you.
The work that you do. We noticed in the tape that the girls are so young.
Yes. Girls in Ethiopia, especially in the north of the country, do marry early.
What is early? What is early?
Well, they might be betrothed at 8 or 9.
They are having children and their little bodies aren't ready for it.
Yes.
That's part of the problem, because they're too young and they push,
yes.
They push, and they create these
This is because she's got nobody in the village, no antenatal care, no midwife to help her,
no
nothing.
epidural.
Nothing.
And so when the woman says she's in labor for 6 days, she means she is in labor for 6 days.
Imagine a little girl living in a hut. She doesn't know when she starts her labor, nor do the village women know. They encourage her day after day after day. After 5 days, she delivers a stillborn baby. Mm-hmm. The only reason she can deliver is because the baby inside the mother gets smaller when it's dead, and she can push it out as a dead baby. Mm-hmm. But she wakes up to a worse horror, finding her bed soaked in urine. And day after day, this continues.
And that's because all of that pushing has created that hole. Yeah.
A fistula is just a hole between an internal organ and the outside world. The internal organ's the bladder or the rectum, and the outside world is the birth passage. Mm-hmm.
And how is it that you turn no woman away ever?
We treat them all freely because they're poor. They've got nothing.
And how are you funded?
We beg.
You beg?
My husband used to say we're professional beggars.
You beg?
And
so you've begged your way to helping 24,000 women. What do they call you?
They call me mother, usually.
They call you mother, yes. Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, they're so grateful. We're not patching up old people for a few more years. We're giving a young, beautiful woman a new life. And this is why I say in Ethiopia, I love them. And you'd love them too if you could see them. They're beautiful women. And they're so appealing. They've lost everything.
Well, I believe that this is God's work on earth, what you're doing.
I believe that God has put me there.
Mm-hmm.
I know that God is following these girls. He loves them. And I trust in God for the future. Mm-hmm. I'm old. I'm nearly 80. And I've got to... I've got to think of the future. But there'll still be fistulas there when I've gone many, many years. And this is why I want to be sure, that's why I'm talking to you, to make the American public aware that this problem is going on. Because it's a women's issue, nobody's done anything about it.
Right.
If men were getting fistulas, something would have been done years and years ago.
If a man had a hole in his penis, you're darn right about that. What can we do to help?
The main thing is that we need money, because it costs us 450,000 US dollars every year to run our hospital. And I want to be sure that this hospital and this work will continue after I've gone. I wrote her a big check that they ended up building a wing to the hospital as a result of the check. I just got up and said, okay, I'm going to write you a check, a personal check. And this is the first time this had ever happened, that everybody in the building responded, just came handing over money to her. Before she walked out, she had a skirt full and ended up of money and checks, change, and people in the audience were just handing over money. We were changed by it because we'd never even heard of a fistula problem. And this woman is somebody who's been repairing them for years. And after she told the story and we were able to see some of these little girls, we were changed by it. And that was from a story that I originally had not even wanted to tell. So what I learned from that experience is that if somebody tells me, I believe it in my soul, that this is something you can do or this is something you should do, then I pay attention to it. So this is a trip I had to take. I've just been on the plane for hours, and now I'm standing in front of the Addis Ababa Fistula Hospital. I wanted to see for myself in person how Dr. Hamlin is transforming the bodies of these young girls who have babies so young. How are you? I told you I was coming, and I know you didn't believe me. Hello. Lovely to see you.
Lovely to see you. Lovely to see you. After the entire staff welcomes us with open arms, it's time for me to see the hospital where Dr. Hamlin performs miracles. So I understand from Dr. Hamlin that these are young girls who just arrived, right?
Oh, yes, they've just come.
May we meet them? Hello. Hello. It's great.
They're pleased to see you.
Pleased to see us.
Thank you. This is our main ward. These are all post-operative patients.
How do you say hello?
Tenacity.
Tenacity. Hello. Hello.
They're shy. So these are all been operated on, and they're all hoping that they're going to be cured. So we have...
What is your cure rate?
Our cure rate's about 92%. These are little cured ones.
Everyone's cured here?
Yes, and they're all ready to go home.
Hello.
And they've got their new clothes on.
The new clothes. Everybody's going home today?
Yes.
The life-changing surgery restores their health and their dignity. And when each girl leaves the hospital, she's given a new dress to make her return home special.